Hi again, this is AZC2. Today I have some good news and not so good news for the gay community in Singapore. The good news is that the government has decided to end the decades-old colonial era ban on gay sex. That is, they have decided that you cannot be treated as a criminal if you are two consenting adults engaging in sodomy. The bad news is that they have moved to amend the constitution to define marriage as purely between a man and a woman. That is, two persons of the same gender cannot get married. Yes, we know that the nephew of Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong, Lee Huan Wu, is the most famous gay in Singapore. He had to get married to his partner in South Africa, but even so, his marriage certificate is practically worthless in Singapore. The only use for his marriage certificate in Singapore is to wipe his ass after taking a dump. That's it. The ban on sodomy came about in the 19th century when the Singapore was still a British colony. At that time, we were given the Indian Penal Code, and Section 377A states that sodomy between consenting adults was illegal. At that time, the British wanted to crack down on male prostitutes in the colony of Singapore, and so this law came about. Similar legislation was introduced to Malaysia during that period as well. Over the years, the United Kingdom had liberalized its definition of marriage. Prior to that, it had also decriminalised sex between men. Yes, Alan Turing, the man who helped Britain defeat Germany with his technological genius, he was treated like shit because he was gay. Britain owes him an apology. Big time. Anyway, in Britain, same-sex couples are allowed to get married. Look at Elton John, Mark Feely from Westlife. These are the best examples. Similarly, in India, whose penal code was introduced to the British colonies of Malaysia and Singapore, New Delhi has decided to end the ban on sodomy. The only countries with a ban on sodomy so far had been Malaysia and Singapore, and Malaysia used the legislation against gay sex to frame Anwar Ibrahim just because Mahathir saw Anwar as a threat back in 1999. Anwar had the support of hardline Islamists from the Pan-Malayan Islamic Party, who were smart enough to see that it was all a setup and nothing more. Meanwhile, Section 377A remained on the statute books in Singapore, but it was rarely enforced. It was widely speculated that the reason why Section 377A remained was so that the PAP government could create another Anwar Ibrahim scenario to set up somebody that they didn't like and get him out of the way. In 2018, a constitutional challenge to Section 377A came about. The lawyer who was pushing the case was famed human rights lawyer M. Ravi, known for taking on death penalty cases. The plaintiffs challenging the legality of 377A had been caught in the act. A complaint had been made to the police and they were prosecuted. The only reason why they got caught in the act was because somebody had been peeping at them. Which person in the right frame of mind would want to peep at two consenting males engaging in sodomy? The government of Singapore has been wary of hardline religious groups. They've kept Section 377A on the statute books all along, hoping to placate the religious conservatives, many of whom hail from a certain Abrahamic religion of peace. In countries ruled by members of that particular religion, you can be hanged for sodomy. And in Aceh, lesbians can be caned in public simply for being born the way they are. Now you get the drift. Not to mention evangelicals, many of whom draw their ideas from the American alt-right. They themselves are extremely homophobic as well. They often talk about homosexuality being a worse plague than communism. They believe that progressives are receiving money from people like George Soros to push a destructive agenda to wipe out the conservative straight male identity. They say that the nuclear family is under threat and they will fight tooth and nail to defend what they hold dear to their hearts. The Singapore government isn't stupid. They know they're in for a delicate balancing act. On one hand, keeping Section 377A is pointless. It makes no sense to prosecute people engaging in consensual sodomy on one hand, but they also need to safeguard, the nuclear family, the institution of marriage. For many of the conservatives, doing away with a ban on sodomy is just the tip of the iceberg, because more will come. The liberals aren't going to be satisfied, and they'll continue pushing for more until the conservative identity has been wiped out. You should read Tanveer Singh's article on Medium, where she sums it up succinctly. In a way, it is good news that men who engage in consensual sodomy no longer need to fear the prospect of prosecution if somebody decided to tip them off to the police. but progress is still miles away. It's going to be years, perhaps even decades, before gay couples can get married and have children. All in all, a bold move in the right direction for Singapore. It remains to be seen how they're going to perform at the 2025 general election. Will they lose the Conservative vote, or will they gain the Liberal vote? Or will the results remain the same as it was in 2020? Watch this space. Bye for now.